Hi, my name is Victoria Rodriguez, and I'm going to be talking about smart meeting rooms, places, and event sync in the Microsoft Graph. So our agenda for today will be that we'll have an overview of what the Places API is, our top customer questions, then I'll share a demo, and finally I'll give you some tips on how to get started. So what is the Places API? We'll have to start with the very basic question. And so the Places API is really meant to help our customers digitize a physical space for an enhanced experience. And so you can think about this as creating buildings and trying to digitize every component of the building so that we can actually put it in our API and can be used for location information. So our goal with the Places API is to have 3 different type of places. We have company places that is available today, personal places, and public places. So as I mentioned, the company places are sort of like your office building, rooms, neighborhoods, anything that really belongs to the company. And then your personal places are things like my home or places that are really more created for yourself. And then finally, public places are those type of restaurants, dentists, or any public entity. Okay, so what type of company places do we support today? So today we support room lists, which is a collection of rooms, but we also like to structure these room lists like buildings because in the future we want to move towards a building concept. Room list is something that we've had in Exchange for a while, and so we want to keep that concept so we don't break any customers, but we do want to move to buildings moving forward. And then the next type of space that we have is rooms. And these are like your common conference rooms that you would book in a space. So coming soon, we do want to add neighborhoods. We also want to add offices. And finally, we want to add equipment that belongs to the place. So an example would be like if you want to book a desk, if you want to book a company car, or anything else that's bookable that may belong to that place. And so today we do support get and patch. And in the future, we also want to support post and delete so that you can create these places with our Places API. Okay, so why should you use the Places API? So let's look at some metrics as to why it's really important that we keep this in mind and we see the value that our customers see as well. So today there's 25 million meetings with conference rooms per month scheduled in Outlook. Okay, and this is just for conference room. This is not including all the other type of places that I mentioned earlier. Also, 40% of employees spend 30 minutes per day looking for a meeting space. So this may be a conference room, or it may just be any type of space within the building where they may want to collaborate or work from. And then 73% of meetings really involve 2 or 4 people, but 53% of the conference room space is built for 7 or more. So you can see there's a huge underutilization problem that we're facing today. So now if you map these to these customer pain points that we often hear, and a lot of this was taken from our research, customer ask, and some brainstorm sessions that we've had as well internally within the Outlook team. You can see that a lot of the feedback we get is that it's hard to book a conference room. It's also hard to book a workspace. It's even harder to manage buildings globally. So if you have many buildings across the globe, how do you know how often a space is being used and if it's being used correctly? And finally, there's a lack of location awareness. So for the user, it's hard for them to see a map of the place or maybe what's the travel time required to get to that place because really there is no data around where is that conference room located or where is that neighborhood located within the building. And so you can see a common trend that happens here is that there's a lack of metadata. So you can see with conference rooms, with workspace, with buildings, with location awareness. And so with our Places API, we really want to create a place where you can set all your metadata for all your type of places and use them in so many different experiences that require location information. So what do organizations, teams, and employees want? So I mentioned the pain points that they see today, but if they really could have the best solution, what really does that look like? And so what we've heard from customers is that they want to be able to easily manage reservations and spaces. They want to be able to get insights on utilization and also help employees end to end. So it's not just about here's an event and here's the time it'll take you to get there. It's also about helping you get there. And so providing the map, providing if guests are coming, providing instructions for the guests as well. And then finally, they want the ability to search for a place in their own words. Just like we can go on Bing and search for any type of information, we want to have the same ability when you're looking for a place to meet, a place to work. Okay, so our Places API really will help customers stay synchronized and navigate their day. And some of the really great benefits is that it returns metadata for places such as buildings and rooms. It allows you to create rich experiences now that we have rich locations for each place. You can also manage this metadata for your customers with dedicated permission scopes. So with our Graph API, we've created a places.read and places.read-write permission so that you don't have to get full calendar access to see the type of places that a tenant or customer may have. It also allows you to book workspace. So we have a concept that we call tags, where you can tag places depending on the type of place it is or the type of filtering you may want to do later on. So that's something very powerful where you can tag places by the type of booking that it may be, like a desk, for example. And finally, we are creating hierarchy of places to make it easy to manage this information. So now you can see there is a building, then there's rooms, there's offices, neighborhoods, and all of these types of places belong to that building. Okay, now I will go over our demo that I wanted to share. And this demo will go over the Outlook integration so you can see how we're using this Places API in Outlook today. So I'm using the Microsoft Graph Explorer, the preview version, and I have already created a query that I will be using. So if I go into my history here, okay, then I can see all the queries I've created, and I'll be using this last one that I recently made. So here we go, run query. So as you can see here, I am doing a patch for the Places API. I've now also included the email address. This email address can be used, but you can also use the ID of the conference room or the type of place. So if it was a room list, you could use either or as well. Okay. You can see this is conference room Stevens, and now I've updated the display device name to be TV, and I've also set my data type to be Microsoft.graph.room. So it's really important that you include this when you're creating a patch or in your request body, really, so that this request can work properly. Okay, now I've also set my capacity to be 2,345. So I know that's a large number, but for demo purposes, let's imagine that we had a room that can support this size. Okay, and you can also see how the TV is set as well. Okay, so now let's take a look and see how this would work in Outlook. So in Outlook, I'll go ahead and create a new event. And now I will look for a conference room. I don't really like this conference room, so let me look for a different one when clicking Browse More Rooms. So now if I click on the room list, let's say I want to use Building 1. Now I see some options for Building 1. So you can see Conf Room Stevens shows up with the 2,345 capacity value that I set. And now let's go ahead and even filter for a room that has that capacity. So now I filtered for 2,000 and I hit enter. Okay. And there it is, shows up here. Okay, and you can see that this is Stevens, the same Confirm Stevens that I also created, that I also did in my used in my request. So now I'll go ahead and click this. And you can see also that it has icons for the different values that have been set already. So this is really neat where in Outlook, we've created this solution where you can see the different type of capabilities in the rooms. And now if I even hover over it, I can see it in a card where it shows me all the information, which is really neat. Okay, and there's my TV that I've set. Now I will go ahead and create a meeting for this event. So I'll title my meeting something simple, maybe just large team meeting. Whoops. Okay. And I'll invite a few people. So let's go ahead and put Adele and Christy. Okay. So now I'll hit send. And here it is. My meeting comes up on the right-hand side. There's my large team meeting with Confirm Stevens. When I click on it, you can see that once you hover over Stevens, you see all the information about that conference room that you've set in the Places API. So let's go over some top customer questions. Okay, so one question I always get is why not just use the Find Rooms or the Find Room List API? So some of you may know that this API has been available for quite some time, the beta version in Microsoft Graph. And so what the API lets you do today is that it returns a list of 100 rooms and 500 room lists. And now this is a max value, so you're not able to get more than this. You also need the user permission to access API. It does not support filtering, and it really just gives you a flat list of all the conference rooms. So almost like an email address for every single conference room and room list that your tenant may have. So now let's look at what the Places API offers. So with the Places API, we use a specific permission just for places, and it's called places.read and places.read write. Okay, then we also return metadata about a room or a room list. So the room list, like being similar to a building, we would return the display name, the physical address, including geo-coordinates, phone number, capacity, any other metadata. We also have enabled paging so that you can get more than 100 rooms and room lists, and you can create your query to get as many as you'd like with paging. We also support getting an individual room or room list in a tenant. So the previous Find Rooms and Find Room Lists API did not support that. And finally, we have query parameter support. That means that you're able to filter for whatever you'd like. So if you want to find all the conference rooms that are in building 1 on floor 3, you're able to query for that. The next question I get is, why can't I filter using an SDK? So I know we all love SDKs, and it's really great to use. It gives you so much power and functionality. And so the issue that we have today is that the Graph SDK does not support filtering by derived types. So this API is a derived type where we have our base class called places, and then we have the different type of places that derive from that. So we do have a workaround where with this workaround, you can access a collection of rooms. The only downside of this is that it will give you only that place-based type properties. So the common ones that are shared across any type of place, which includes display name, address, geo-coordinates, phone number, email address. So here's an example of what you can include so that you're able to see this collection of rooms. And I also have a GitHub version of this so you can access it easily and don't have to go copy it from this presentation. The next question I get is, where is place data stored? So traditionally, we would think as information being stored in AAD, at least for Exchange. So AAD is where we have our people information and some room information as well. But what we've done is that we've created a new type of mailbox called like a tenant mailbox, or also a tenant shard, where all the company places that each tenant has lives in that mailbox. So all the data, all the information lives there, and our Places API accesses this tenant mailbox to get the data. This gives us a lot of flexibility to extend the schema as we'd like, and also for the future, it lets us set ourselves up to support different type of places as well. So you might be wondering, how do you get started? So let me give you a few tips on how you can do that. Um, First thing is, like, our API is V1, which is amazing. This is recent. We were just able to release this for Build. And if you need integration ideas, you can think about solutions for booking spaces. So you might want to think about not just conference rooms, but maybe even places where employees can go and work. And that might be a neighborhood, or that might even be an office. And if you have any API questions or requests, the best way is to post on GitHub or Stack Overflow. Also, if you access the Microsoft Graph support site, you can see the links to the questions, feature requests, and any doc suggestions. We check these really often, so we're always happy to provide answers or read feedback as it comes in. We also have some sample apps in our Microsoft Graph GitHub as well. So make sure to check that out and look for Places API examples. Okay, well, thank you for watching. Again, my name's Victoria Rodriguez. If you want to follow me on Twitter and hashtag MSBuild and hashtag Microsoft 365, I will be checking, and have fun at Build.